All right, Jay. So week 9, we had some. Well, I ain't gonna say some. We had a lot of surprises. We had the Browns and Cincinnati that caught me by surprise. The Broncos and Cowboys very very much caught me by surprise. And then Jaguars beat the Bills. That was a surprise. So before I name off every game that was played Sunday and Monday, what caught your eyes in week 9?
I think we've touched on it. We touched on it a little bit on Colorcast the other night with some of these, but there was the two that just jumped out immediately was how Buffalo looked against Jacksonville. They gotta get it figured out up there pretty quickly because that offense just does not look right with the offensive line and just being. It seems like they're way too. I get it. Josh Allen last year we got caught up in. He was, the guy running up against Mahomes for like best quarterback in the AFC and all this. We get it, but like they out here being too dependent on Patrick Mahomes right now. I think you got to get back to the running game a little bit. But Jacksonville, the way they looked and the way that defense played and the way they had the better Josh Allen on the field,
Right.
the young pass rusher from Kentucky,
Right.
he was spectacular. Had a sack, had a fumble recovery, an interception. So that was great to see. But yeah, offensively, I think just the fact that it was that game was that defensive 9-6. I mean that was shocking in itself too. The other one was Denver going to Dallas. Denver's been they lost 4 in a row. They did beat Washington in a defensive slugfest, but so they've been kind of middling. And then you go into a Dallas team where Dallas has won 6 in a row after losing opening night to Tampa Bay. And Denver came out and don't be deceived by this final score. This was a 30-0 blowout.
Yeah, it looked
to
bad.
where Kurt Menefee had to come on Fox and be like, "We got to take you to a competitive game." And then next thing you know, we watching the game you're watching live. We're watching Ravens and Vikings. But yeah, Denver came out and they set the stage early. They got a 4th and 1 stop on Zeke on the first possession. Then I think the next possession, they got another 4th down stop, and it just set the stage to and it was incredible because that's a defense that has been hit hard by injuries. And then Von Miller, the first game that he's out of there. So you don't have Von Miller, you don't have Bradley Chubb, you don't have Malik Reed, the guy that's replacing Von Miller. So you're down to your 4th and 5th outside linebackers. You don't have your nose tackle Purcell. We know the middle line, the inside linebackers it's just a travesty. How many people have been injured? So you have all that going, and it would seem like they've been struggling with the run defense lately. But I mean, Zeke really couldn't go in, and then the Cowboys and Denver played really well, but Dallas was also uncharacteristic. You got guys dropping passes, Dak just not really all that sharp. The offensive line struggled with some of these unknown pass rushers. Talking about a Jonathan Cooper, you got Stephen Weatherly in there. It was a shockingly bad performance, especially at home against a team in Denver who've been really struggling.
Well, let me ask you this. So, do you think the Cowboys went in there reading their news clippings because they won that primetime game with Cooper Rush, so they felt like
That's
get
right.
that back? Like
It should be easy.
What's the problem? And we at home. So what's the problem?
That seems like that may explain a lot of it. And they definitely Denver obviously was prepared. They were ready, and Denver ran the ball. They were the more physical team. Dallas's defense, we've been talking about. They've been pretty good. We talk about how much we like Michael Parsons.
Right.
But Denver's offensive line, who are also missing some guys, they just with a more physical team. Javonte Williams this guy's a beast. Just the way he runs the ball, and he always finishes runs, and he's always dragging guys down the field. And Melvin Gordon's been very good. I think he's living up to the contract he's got. So they got a great 1-2 punch there. And the book on Teddy Bridgewater, he's going to take care of the football. Right. So when Denver's formula is run the football, play defense, protect the ball. And that's a formula that can work for them, but it was surprising to see them go to Dallas and dominate the way they did. The game was 30-0, and it ended up being 30-16 because Dallas got 2 late scores. But Denver was very impressive. That was the big surprise. Jacksonville was a big surprise. And just to throw another one.
No, before you move on, let me ask you something about the Jacksonville game. do this inject life in Jacksonville? Do we? I mean, granted, it's 5 field goals. That's the total score of this game. 5 field goals, 3 for Jacksonville, 2 for Buffalo. But it's a win against a top AFC contender. Somewhat of an MVP candidate, which it's probably hurt his case, but and one of the better defenses in the NFL, I might add.
Yeah.
Does this, if you're Jacksonville, do you get confidence from this? Can you build off of this? What can Urban Meyer use from this game to move forward?
I think their defense should feel confident. Their offense, I think you'd feel better about it overall if your offense had put up more than 9 points. You know what I'm saying? I think if you see Trevor Lawrence come out there and he's actually giving you something, and some of these skill position guys, whether it's Chenault or whether it's Marvin Jones or whoever it is. I mean, Dan Arnold to me looking like he the best thing they got in it.
Right.
That's Dan Arnold. That's not a household name. So I think the way they played defense was great, and just the way their defense continued to turn Buffalo away. The defense should feel great, but overall, I think you'd feel better if it was a shootout and Trevor Lawrence was just slinging the ball over the field. And I get it, you didn't have James Robinson, but also Buffalo was horrible in that game. Just the penalties and the mistakes that they made. You talk about how maybe Dallas was feeling themselves, but I mean, maybe Buffalo didn't take Jacksonville seriously at all.
Do you want any pizza?
Taylor, I'm recording. See, this is what happens when I'm not in the office. People forget that I got stuff to do. Anyway, as you were saying.
But the other one that I was going to throw in, Tennessee, first game with that Derrick Henry, the way they went into Los Angeles and just really, really shut down the Rams. And Matthew Stafford, you talk about another MVP candidate, he did not help his case on Sunday night.
Right. Is Tennessee for real? Even without, they did that without their best player, right?
I'm still not a believer.
You still not a believer?
I'm still not. If Adrian Peterson comes in and he wasn't. I saw some flashes, but it wasn't. First game, they're obviously not going to come out there and just give him a full workload. I don't know how much they'll rely on him, but I think he's got something. But to me, Adrian Peterson has to be. I think they still have to be run first. Even though you got AJ Brown, you got Julio Jones, but you got Ryan Tannehill. I just can't believe it. And the defense, I think they're getting by making key plays at the right time, but it's almost how long can you win by doing that? Because I don't think that defense is that great either.
So, does this hurt your thought process on the Rams being a contender?
Not really.
No,
not really. I think the Rams are gonna be fine. I think they just. I don't know what happened to them, but these things happen. You have a bad game. Matt Stafford was terrible. But I really think much like we talked a little bit about OBJ, how he might be the difference maker for Green Bay, coming with the right mindset and all that. I think when Von Miller hits the field, between Von Miller and Aaron Donald, and we know Jalen Ramsey is a superstar, I really, if the Rams can play with a lead and do the things that Sean McVay wants to do, and I think they got to be a little run first too. I think that helps them. Then you get the play action and all that. But if they get a lead and then they ride these pass rushes, think about it. I don't think Aaron Donald's never had a guy this good with him.
Right. That's true. That's a fact. You get the average. You get the NFL average. So now he got a above.
So you think about in Denver lately when Von Miller plays, the game plan is Von Miller. Right. We got to deal with that dude.
Right.
The teams are still going to be trying to figure out how to disrupt Aaron Donald and keep him from wrecking the game. So you think about how many one-on-ones Von Miller's going to have. I think that's scary. I think you know what I think? I think we're looking at Rams and Packers right now. Even though that's depending if Green Bay gets OBJ. I think that's what we're looking at in the NFC title game.
Ooh, so how we feel? The Bucks gonna be? They're gonna go ahead and get the Bucks up out of here.
I think that's definitely the third team I'm thinking about. But man, that's gonna be the NFC got some heavy hitters up top that makes your mouth water. The AFC not so much. But anyway, what stood out to you in the whole surprise factor on on this week?
Listen, you covered two of the games for sure. Those was the Bengals. Listen, and it's almost as if when I start believing in a team, that's when I shouldn't believe in them. I was sitting here with my chest out saying, "Hey, the Browns better watch out, man. These Bengals, they for real."
This is right after they lost to the Jets too, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So I thought, and honestly, I thought, okay, they lost to the Jets, the Fighting Mike Whites, and then I felt like, okay, they're gonna come back with a vengeance. Like they're gonna come back and show people, listen, we all for real team. And then they go out here with this, and now I'm like, all right, yeah, I might have jumped the gun. To a game that you didn't mention, listen, the Saints lost to the Falcons. Their first game without Jameis Winston. So that right there started to make me wonder because we know the Falcons are not good. They Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts, and that's what I got for you. You know.
Yeah, I think that the Saints defense, how the Falcons had a really nice game offensively. Also, think about like Calvin Ridley. Not only like you think about the Falcons post Julio Jones and now Calvin Ridley not playing. You would think like the Saints defense. We've seen the Saints defense shut some people down.
Right.
Like you think about Aaron Rodgers week 1. You think about what they've been able to do against Brady and the Bucs in the regular season. That was definitely another surprise.
And I mean, granted, the best pass catcher they got there is Cordell Patterson right now. He's like the biggest performer. Now I'm not. Let me make sure I'm clear. I'm not saying he's a better pass catcher than Kyle Pitts, but he is. He's making more plays. He's making more plays than Kyle Pitts. That's all I'm saying. He doing it because he's like, he in the backfield, he wide receiver. He's doing a lot. So I think he's like one of their bigger playmakers on offense. But losing to the Falcons ain't a good look. We're looking at the Patriots, Panthers. The Panthers are looking more and more like frauds every day as they go by.
I put them on fraud alert a couple weeks ago.
Yes, you did.
Now you don't have Darnold now for weeks. I don't even know if that matters because I told you he was going to see some ghosts in this game.
And listen, the thing about it's like this. I think honestly, if Darnold was healthy and when you got Christian McCaffrey back, I think they could have got this thing back on the rails. Now you out here with PJ Walker, the legend, the myth, the man, the legend, the XFL, XFL. I don't think he's gonna get it done, even with Christian McCaffrey back. I think, and now we know J.C. Horn got hurt. You go out and get Stephon Gilmore because you felt like at that time, and they got C.J. Henderson, right? You felt like at that time we gonna spend some money on our cornerbacks because we still got a chance to be contenders.
That's what it felt like. It felt like they thought they was ready, and they're like, oh man, we'll get a piece here, and we rolling now. And now like they're going backwards.
So now it's like maybe we shouldn't sign Stephon. Either way, I think that goose is cooked with the Panthers. Christian McCaffrey can come back. That's all fine and dandy, but I just don't see where that matters now. Like if Sam Darnold was still in there, I can understand it because. For what it's worth, when he had Christian McCaffrey, he looked like he was going to play some ball. You can say what you want, but he looked it like a competent quarterback. Lost Christian McCaffrey, and then he looked it like Sam Darnold. Yep. Looked like the New York version of Sam Darnold, right? Last but not least, I wouldn't necessarily say surprising, but I would say the final score did kind of surprise us with the Steelers and the Bears. I thought this was going to be a one-sided circus. I thought the Steelers was going to go out here and C-walk on them. But they didn't. The Bears, like the Steelers was in control of the game, but the Bears made it interesting with the young quarterback Justin Fields.
Felt like Pittsburgh jumped out in that game and then kind of started coasting.
Right,
and then they ended up in a fight in the end.
And listen, the Steelers won, but Ben Roethlisberger, man, this got to be his last season. He just could not get it. The one thing he can still do is take a hit in the pocket and somebody slide off of him, I guess. That's what a lot of that offseason workout do for you, I guess. But he couldn't get it down the field. Like, you got these guys, Johnson, you got these guys, Claypool, you got guys that can go down the field and get you a catch. And you kind of like, he was pretty maligned, if I must say so myself. I wasn't impressed. Najee Harris, I feel like if if Big Ben was better, Najee Harris can do more, but because he don't like really threaten the defense as much. So I guess my point is the reason I'm surprised is because the Bears stuck around. What could the Bears take away from that game?
Well, I think you saw flashes from Justin Fields. I think we saw the 2-minute one late in the first half. We saw it late in the second half. We saw some things like the pass to Darnell Mooney. There was certain throws Justin Fields made. The one up the seam to Jimmy Graham I thought was absolutely fantastic. But it's almost like can we get that consistently? Because like there's times when we've seen Justin Fields this year that look like, man, what is this? Like, does he belong in the league? But you also saw moments against Pittsburgh where it's like, man, this dude gonna be something. And we know like and the athletic ability is something I talked about. Like when they run zone read, like this guy, if they can run zone read with Mitch Trubisky, they can run zone read with Justin Fields. Yeah, so I do think like the whole Wildcat thing that they're doing, I don't like that. Put Justin Fields back there, show that you believe in him. When you run in Wildcat, like, you know, every 10 plays or so or whatever it is, it may not be that frequent. But like I think that sends the wrong message to your quarterback and the team. Like that we gotta use it. We know the Wildcat is a gimmick.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, oh, we're gonna run the ball, are we going that way, are we going this way, are we going just let Justin Fields operate the offense. And I think like we're seeing there's been times he looked like a rookie at this point. He's looking like a rookie. I don't think most people thought it was going to be automatic, him coming in just, you know, really shining. But I think you look at that Pittsburgh game and you see moments that, like, you can build upon. And to, like, be able to overcome that early deficit to where the Bears offense had no life in the first half until the 2-minute drill. Right. And then there was also a lot of calls that didn't go their way. Mm-hmm. I think Chicago should feel good. I tell you the one guy, like Matt Nagy got it. This guy look clueless as an NFL coach right now. I'm telling you, there's so many, and I don't want to get into it right now because we got to go. But like, Lord, Matt Nagy, what are you doing? Like, do you like your job? Come on, man. Like, you got to be better. So
he said
that's what I'm thinking about Justin Fields. But I do think like I saw some things that they can definitely build upon, and hopefully Matt Nagy can.